We will call the Subcommittee for Senate File 360 to order. I usually like to start out, if we can, with somebody that's familiar with the bill, that is in favor of it, and can tell us, summarize what it does and why we should pass it.
Real quickly, my name is Brett Erickson, and I direct the Iowa chapter for a volunteer organization known as Safe Families for Children. And Safe Families exists because parenting is hard. Parents don't have family members, friends whom they can turn to when they're going through a difficult situation like homelessness or unemployment, maybe a medical emergency. We train and background check and equip, approve volunteer families who host the children of parents who are going through a difficult situation temporarily. It provides an easily accessible power of attorney that parents can access, not by having to go down to the probate courts and paying a filing fee to get it drafted, but this makes it free of charge. It also makes it accessible as far as either parents drafting their own POA that adheres to the bill itself, or perhaps standardizing the POA so that they can just download the form off of the internet. There hasn't been any lawsuits or any complaints or anything like that in these states who have acted similar legislation.
Well, Mr. Chair, I have a number of questions here and a number of concerns, and if you permit me to go quickly through these. This bill involves parents turning their kids over to an agent. There's no restriction on who that agent can be in the bill. So there could be a convicted felon, it could be a person on the sex offender registry, it could be a non-citizen. It is specifically not part of the foster care system. Charles Manson is dead, David Koresh is dead, Jeffrey Dahmer is dead, but I'm sure there are a lot of other folks out there who would just love to get their hands on some kids. Parents or guardians who sign this power of attorney are specifically exempt from liability for abandonment, abuse, or neglect. So the parents are out from under any legal consequences here. They can be paid by the agent. The bill says the agent is not compensated. Parents can't pay the agent, but the agent can pay the parents. So this opens up a rent-a-kid possibility. There's no limit where the child can be taken out of state, out of the U.S., no limit there. The bill says that the agent can't authorize the child to be married or to have an abortion, but there's no other restriction on any medical treatment. I've heard that genital mutilation is still legal in this state. I don't know why it is, but it still is, so that would be permissible for the agent to undertake. Frankly, I think this opens the door to a whole lot of adverse circumstances and consequences. I understand that that's not the intent of the proposer, but we always have to ask the questions about unintended consequences, and I think they are massively dangerous here with this legislation.
Have some of the concerns that Senator Quirnbach spoke about, and just here to learn more about the bill and the concern. Certainly have some concerns about decisions that are made outside of the scope of the parents and whether or not it's in the best interest of the child.
Janet Rhodes with the Department of Human Services. I'm the Division Administrator for Adult Children and Family Services. And my question is, you said that families who would be involved with the Department of Human Services for a child protective assessment would not be allowed to use the document. What is the gatekeeping process for knowing whether someone is using it, not using it? How would DHS know? Because my understanding is there's no record or there's no tracking mechanism for who has used the power of attorney process.
Yeah.
I just want to be really clear, there is no way that it actually prohibits someone from, you say they're not allowed, but there's not a mechanism that prohibits them from using this to subvert involvement with the department or making those children available during a child protective assessment, because you said there's no gatekeeping or tracking mechanism, so they could do it and you wouldn't know.
So
no one would know.
But this bill would open this up to anybody who wants to come along and use this legal process. Mm-hmm. It isn't tied to any particular organization. But under this, the parents would be exempt from liability for abuse, abandonment, and neglect. Mm-hmm. Anything else parents do with their kids, they can be held ultimately responsible. This would give them a free pass.
if they have given the responsibility to the organization, I mean, I guess I don't see the issue.
I would say Bar Association. We're monitoring the bill. We were also at the House Subcommittee, and we talked about our concerns about a tracking mechanism. Someone would be in trouble if the kids were injured, and there's nothing in this language that's completely silent on that.
Angela Davis, Iowa Network Against Human Trafficking. We're also registered, we're opposed to the bill. We have some concerns echoing the same concerns that Senator Cornbach raised and the Bar Association about some type of and DHS about registration, tracking mechanism for those bad actors out there. And with all due respect to you, sir, about the dignity of the parents, really the first concern for our organization is the safety of children.
Amen.
So our biggest concern for the Bar Association, we completely understand that for your organization, you guys are vetting these people, you're going through background checks, I believe you even go to their homes and make sure their houses are safe, and we applaud that. But our problem is those people that are not going through your organization, but are just going to sign POAs to sign their kid off for up to a year, and the only people that know about the power of attorney is the parent, the new agent, and maybe whoever notarizes it, which could be just your local bank. And that's a huge concern that these kids, a lot could happen in a year. And we're not restricting travel, we're not doing anything like that. Mm-hmm. They could disappear and we would have no idea where they went because the only people with the power of attorney filed are within their own homes. No one else has access to that.
Anyway, more comments, questions from the senators?
Well, I'm afraid I can't sign this. There are no guardrails here. I appreciate the good intentions of your organization, but we have no oversight here by the courts or by DHS or by anybody. And in this legislation, it's wide open, not just your organization, not just a recognized organization. It could be anybody acting as agent. It could be somebody who is a convicted felon. It could be somebody on the sex offender registry. The parents could be compensated. You're opening the door to a rent-a-kid operation. No restriction on where the kid could be taken, out of state, out of country. I'm sorry, I know it's not your intent, but this reads as a sex trafficker's Bill of Rights, the way it's drafted right now, and I cannot sign it.
I think you're, I don't really think your fears are that well founded, but I mean, you can imagine anything.
Well, that's what we're paid to do, is to imagine the consequences, good and bad.
But we've got a lot of experience in what's already been happening and costing families.
If you wanted to develop a structure where the DHS would approve some organization to operate this way, to recruit families, then there would be some oversight. Right now with this bill, there's no oversight. It's not limited to their organization. You have to imagine who might else come along and abuse this. But current law, the parents retain legal responsibility. This bill would exempt them from legal responsibility.